Good morning, students. Yesterday we studied about hybridization. Today we will study about crop rotation and mixed cropping. What is crop rotation? Crop rotation is cultivating two different types of plants alternatively. Okay, for example, like maize and wheat. Maize and wheat are grown alternately with leguminous plants like groundnut. So what will the leguminous plants do? The leguminous plants will fix the nitrogen, and nitrogen, you all know, is very good for the soil. It enriches the soil with nutrients. Okay, so crop rotation means cultivating two different types of crops alternately. Okay, one along after the other. For example, if maize and wheat is grown, then the next time leguminous plants are grown. Then the another term that is used is mixed cropping. Now mixed cropping is done in order to save time and labor. For example, groundnut and cotton are often grown together in mixed cropping. So mixed cropping means if you have got a field. Okay, for example, if you have got a field, what will they do? They will do in one part they will put groundnut, and in the other part they will put cotton. So this is called as mixed cropping. Okay, so in mixed cropping they are growing two different kinds of crops in the same field at the same time. Whereas in crop rotation, they are doing it alternately. That means in the field for one year, or maybe for one season, they will be growing maize or wheat. And then the next season, they will grow leguminous plants. I hope, children, the difference is clear to all of you. Crop rotation means rotation of crops. Okay. And mixed cropping, the name itself indicates. And mixed cropping means two crops are mixed together in the same field and then it is done. Clear? Now we come to the nitrogen cycle. See, children, you all have studied that the atmosphere contains almost 78% nitrogen in the atmosphere. Even the water bodies also contain nitrogen. So nitrogen is very essential part of proteins, vitamins, all the nucleic acids which are present in every living organism. Nitrogen is very important. So what happens is in our atmosphere there is a circulation of nitrogen between living things and non-living things. Okay, here you can see here, okay, in this diagram, that there is a continuous circulation of nitrogen which takes place continuously in our biosphere, and this is called as the nitrogen cycle. I will explain it to you by drawing a diagram. You will understand better. Okay, so first of all, let me tell you that in a nitrogen cycle, there are 3 steps in a nitrogen cycle. Okay, what are the 3 steps of nitrogen cycle? The first step of nitrogen cycle is the process which is called as nitrogen fixation. Okay, nitrogen fixation is again done by two methods. One is atmospheric nitrogen fixation. This is, I have written NF short form. Okay, this is atmospheric nitrogen fixation, and the second one is biological nitrogen fixation. Okay, so I will explain how. See, for example, just now I told you there is in the atmosphere, atmospheric nitrogen is present. Atmospheric nitrogen, you have all studied, 78% of atmospheric nitrogen is present. Okay, just now I told you first procedure is nitrogen fixation. How is nitrogen fixation done? The first method is atmospheric nitrogen fixation. Okay, now how is atmospheric nitrogen fixation done? Now atmospheric nitrogen fixation, what happens is whenever there is lightning and thunder. Okay, whenever lightning and thunder takes place, there is, you all know that nitrogen gas is present in the atmosphere. So during lightning and thunder, due to very high temperature, what happens is this atmospheric nitrogen, it reacts with oxygen to produce oxides. Okay, atmospheric nitrogen It reacts with oxygen. You all know oxygen is present in the atmosphere. It forms oxides of nitrogen. Oxides of nitrogen. Nitrogen dioxide. Again, and when it starts raining, this oxides of nitrogen reacts with water when it has started raining. Okay, and then what does it produce? It starts dissolving in rainwater and it starts forming nitric acid. Okay, and then this nitric acid, it reacts with the soil to form the nitrates. So the nitrates are the form in which plants can take, can be very easily used by the plants. This atmospheric nitrogen cannot be used by the plants. Clear, children? It is the nitrates which can be very easily used by the plants. So this is the first procedure which I told you in nitrogen fixation, atmospheric nitrogen fixation. Okay, in atmospheric nitrogen fixation, what happens? During lightning, due to high temperature, the nitrogen gas present in the atmosphere reacts with oxygen to form oxides of nitrogen. Okay, and then when it starts raining, or you can say when it starts dissolving in rainwater, okay, nitrogen dioxide with rainwater, it forms nitric acid, and when this nitric acid comes down to the soil, it forms the nitrates, and this nitrate can be very easily used by the plants. Okay, it can be very easily used by the plants. This has converted into nitrates. Clear? Then, what was the second procedure of nitrogen fixation? The second procedure of nitrogen fixation is biological nitrogen fixation. Now, again, the biological nitrogen fixation is done by bacteria like the rhizobium bacteria and the clostridium bacteria. These rhizobium bacteria and clostridium bacteria, rhizobium and clostridium are present in the root nodules of the leguminous plants. Leguminous plants like, what are leguminous plants? Leguminous plants like beans, peas, they all are leguminous plants. And where are they found? They are found in this root nodules, inside this root nodules. Okay, rhizobium bacteria is present. So the second type of nitrogen fixation is biological nitrogen fixation. Since biological means since it is done by bacteria, that is why it is called as biological nitrogen fixation. So the second procedure by which atmospheric nitrogen is again is fixed into nitrates is how it is by biological, that is by rhizobium bacteria. Okay, by rhizobium bacteria or clostridium bacteria. And what is this called as? This is called as biological nitrogen fixation. This was atmospheric nitrogen fixation. Okay, and this is biological nitrogen fixation. So the rhizobium bacteria and the clostridium bacteria which are present in the root nodules, they take up this atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into nitrates. Okay, nitrates, just now I told you, nitrates can be very easily taken up by the plants. Okay, now as you all know, children, that the plants, then these nitrates are present in the form of, every organism has got proteins now, so it is present in the form of, in the plants. Now what happens, as you all know, in the food chain, when the plants are eaten up by the animals, it is transferred to the animals. Okay, and then what happens, then these animals again, when the plant and the animals, they die and decay, it again goes back to the soil. Okay, so till here this was the first procedure, nitrogen fixation. Then the second procedure is called as nitrogen assimilation. What is nitrogen assimilation? Nitrogen assimilation is the conversion of inorganic compounds into organic compounds. Okay, now what are the inorganic compounds? The plants absorb nitrogenous compounds from the soil and water. Okay, this just now I told you, na, the plants absorb all the nitrogenous compound, whatever nitrogenous compounds present in the soil, it is absorbed by the plants. Okay, and then it is converted into plant proteins. So this process is called as nitrogen assimilation. Okay, that means the conversion of inorganic compounds into organic compounds, that is into the plant proteins. This is again converted into plant proteins. So this is called as nitrogen assimilation. Clear? And then after nitrogen assimilation, the third process is denitrification. Denitrification is conversion of nitrates to free nitrogen gas. That means again it has to be converted into the free nitrogen gas. And who does this? It is done by the Pseudomonas bacteria. Okay. P is silent, children. It is called as Pseudomonas. Clear? It is called as the Pseudomonas. So what happens is, again the nitrates are converted. Nitrates are again present here now. So when plants and animals, these plants and animals after their death die and decay. Okay, it is again after the death and decay. Sorry, when these plants and animals, when they die and decay, what happens? Again it goes into the soil as proteins, and then this, now it is in the form of nitrates. This nitrates has to again go back into the atmosphere. Okay, and this is done by which bacteria? It is done by the Pseudomonas. P is silent. It is done by the Pseudomonas. And what is this procedure called as? This procedure is called as denitrification. Okay, this procedure is called as denitrification. So this is how you can see that the circulation of nitrogen is taking place continuously in the atmosphere. So that is why it is called as nitrogen cycle. Okay, that is why it is called as the nitrogen cycle. That means the continuous circulation of nitrogen in the atmosphere. This is called as nitrogen cycle. Okay, I hope children this much is clear to you. Please go through my video very carefully and learn this properly. Clear, children? Thank you.